Arizona's just too big, too strong, and too good for Utah. But I don't think they played that well, and that's not a concern because they played well for about 5 minutes and blew the Utes out of the gym the rest of the way, and we're not in danger. Lots to cover on Postcast for Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into Postcast. Leif Thulin with you here, host of Locked On Wildcats. Just got the opportunity to speak to Tommy Lloyd, ask some questions at media. That's why we're delayed here, but I am live at the Huntsman Center, and the Wildcats played a enthusiastic and energized first 5 minutes of this game, and that was enough to win this game. From then on, I think there was some good, there was some bad, but anytime you can say there's some good with some bad when you scored 97 points and their lead is never in jeopardy is a very impressive thing to say, but also speaks to the caliber that I hold the Arizona Wildcats to and the caliber that Tommy Lloyd and the level that he coaches this team to, because he mentioned during the post game that he wasn't necessarily thrilled with the defense. I'll touch on that in a little bit. So let's touch on my takeaways from this game. Like I said, I didn't think Arizona played particularly well, and yet we're untouched in Big 12 play, moved to 14-0, and that is a great accomplishment, no doubt about it. This is, in my opinion, the best team in the Big 12 against the worst team in the Big 12, and that's not to say Utah is lacking talent whatsoever. They're new. Arizona's great, but Arizona, in some, were really just too big and too strong. Let's get you some statistics that paint this picture. I think Arizona played at a C level today after the first 5 minutes were a very good level. And the game was never under 10 points. It was never really a tenuous perch whatsoever. They're really, really good. But I wasn't impressed by the defensive effort. And the one thing that's clear to me is when Arizona's locked in, you can see it. You can feel it. Watch their size, being up close and personal, seeing how aggressively, how physically they stop drives. They get in the middle. Karchenkov stole the ball. And when they play hard for those stretches, you can see it. You can feel it on the court. And they're going to run away with leads. There was an opening to the second half where they opened up a 24-point lead, and I felt like after that, human nature took over. We'll touch on human nature again momentarily. That's what Tommy Lloyd spoke about. But once again, Arizona scored 97 points in a game I didn't think they played particularly well, and that is something that is very difficult to do. The offense is given with Tommy Lloyd. The defense has been the identity, and I didn't think the defense was up to par. And based on a comment he made during the post-game presser, I think he agrees with me there. Arizona got whatever they wanted early and often. They scored 58.5, where they made just 4 threes and shot just 8 threes. In a modern day of college basketball, that is exceedingly rare. Shooting 8 threes and a half, very rare. That's not terribly atypical for Arizona, but scoring 58.5, in which there's only 4 threes made, is very, very efficient and hard to stop. Arizona was 22 of 36 in the first half from the field and 4 of 8 from 3. And I would say they had a bad start to the second half, and the efficiency dwindled, but they still shot north of 50% for a full game in conference play with a team scouted to take away what Utah Peat does, what Burries does best. And Arizona still had their prototypical egalitarian attack with multiple players finishing in double digits and multiple players finishing with double doubles. The other thing was the rebounding was ever present early in this one. I thought Arizona was able to enforce the game and boss the game early and often, impose their will. They doubled up Utah on the glass in the first half, 22-11, and they had 12 second chance points in the first half alone, scoring those 58 points. They also had 8 steals, live ball turnovers, leading to 13 points off of turnovers. But like I said, and this is more an issue for the second half, but I think the tone was set early. Arizona got out to the lead, got a bit complacent. But giving up 39 points in a first half in which you only give up 2 threes is not particularly impressive, because that's only 2 points given up. 2 3-pointers, 2 field goals made from the 3-point line that were not conceded from up close. And Arizona usually stifles teams from the front. They don't allow you to score near the basket. And Utah got a lot of dunks, a lot of uncontested layups, and a couple second chances. When engaged, they suffocated the Utes with their size and strength, but got bored, allowing 17 of 36 shooting from the field. And the misses were largely threes. They missed a lot of threes, Utah did, and some of them were pretty open. Like if you go to the statistics of the first half, Arizona was conceding nearly 50% of their buckets, but they only gave up 2 threes. So they went 2 of 7 from 3, did the Utes, and 15 of 29, so north of 50% from 2, and that's very rare for Arizona. And I thought it was kind of a sign of laziness, just being complacent. When Arizona looked engaged, they looked great, and they had stretches of that, and it was enough. But this is the number 1 team in the country, so you have to judge them on a different scale than everyone else. It's not just okay to win by 19 if it wasn't a good performance. There are bits and pieces of a good performance, but a neutral 39-39 second half tells a story of complacency to me. So I was not terribly thrilled by this. However, I want to talk about the good things, not just the bad. Arizona has multiple guys that could be the best player on multiple teams. Right now, they have a different guy step up all the time. And you wouldn't know who the best player is of this game always. But I thought Ivan Karchenkov set the tone. And when Karchenkov is in, the defense is more aggressive. It's more physical. It's more able to use their length on the perimeter and funnel into Krivas. And when he's in, I told my buddy I was sitting next to, I swear his plus minus is going to be plus 60 today. He ended up with a team high plus 29. And that is no coincidence. When he's in the game, the ball moves better on offense. The ball is very rarely getting into the paint against the defense, and he creates easy offense by poking the ball away, getting steals early and often, being good in transition, hits open threes, and is aggressive. So I love Ivan Karchenkov. You guys know how I feel about him. Karchenkov was great. So going through the box score, Karchenkov had 13, Peat 17. 18 from Bradley. Burries, 17 and 11. Tobe Awaka was the standout of the day, 18 and 12, and with 6 offensive rebounds. And he had 5 of those right as he came into the game in the first half at the 17-minute mark. Those guys are physically dominating the game, and they use their strength. They don't just have that, but it's very, very it's very impressive to see them live. I was about in the 10th row watching them. And when watching them from the 10th row, you see how physically dominant Awaka is. You see how broad the shoulders of Arizona's guys are. I talked to Coach Tommy Lloyd and said, "Hey, Tommy Lloyd, what do you make of the roster construction? Your team's obviously big. You rebound really well, and you see UConn 2 years in a row had size. You see last year's Final Four teams had size, and how much of college basketball's roster construction has that impacted?" He says he's been playing it for years and years. And he has at Gonzaga and with Arizona with Tubelis and Koloko and Ballo and Koloko. Like, all these things are true. However, the question I asked was further than that. It was essentially, when you see other teams do that, is it hard to ignore that and not do it? And the way he responded was really interesting, because he talked about the necessity to play physically because, you have an off shooting night. He said that, there's some cute stuff. And I posted this question on my Twitter so you guys can find the exact thing. You can recruit players, and he was fortunate to inherit some of the players early, but you can recruit players to play a style of basketball, but you got to recruit the players that you land, the people who say yes, and cater to what they do well. Well, he landed Tobe Awaka. He landed Peat. He landed Mo Krivas. Of course, he's going to play physically. And that's such a good answer to talk about playing to the strengths of a team. It's an identity of a coach, but also playing to the strengths of a team. And I really enjoyed hearing him talk about that and talk about, look, one thing that's always going to play is rebounding, physicality, toughness, defensive size matters, being able to get into the gaps, touch at the perimeter, and physically ward away players from the basket. And that will always play, and has been winning in March Madness for years and years, not just recently. And 2 bigs is what he's going to do forever because he's comfortable with it. But he's happy to coach different styles. But this style is working for college basketball, and he gave a thorough explanation of that, and I was very appreciative. Okay, coming up next, we're going to review the keys I gave for this game, and the keys were to win by 20 or more. Arizona won by 19, so essentially the same thing. But I wasn't terribly thrilled by what Arizona did in this game. I thought they played complacently in the second half. I thought they played about a C overall game, other than the first 5 minutes in which they were, I wouldn't say A game, but they were full throttle and engaged for that. So that'll be next on Locked On Wildcats postcast. Let's talk about something most men don't want to bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it does, it shows up at the worst possible time. Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugiet Ready is the next generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. So if you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. Welcome back to Locked On Wildcats. Leif Thulin with you here, your host each and every day. Today's postcast, Arizona triumphant, winning easily 97-78. But like I said, when you're the number 1 team in the country, you're graded on a different scale than other teams. And I didn't think they played particularly well. So let's evaluate the keys I gave and how they did in those. So here are my keys and my score predictions that I gave in the preview episode. I said I wanted to see fewer than 12 turnovers because Utah is the 306th ranked team in terms of forcing turnovers. And Arizona, I wanted to stay aggressive and play quickly. Tommy Lloyd talked about turnovers aren't always the worst things if you're making errors of aggression and they're not costing you terribly. But Utah doesn't force turnovers. And I think the key would be under 12. So like I said, Arizona, under 12 turnovers, they had 9 turnovers. So that's a big-time check mark, especially after committing 19 against Abilene Christian and 15 against Bethune-Cookman and having 10 in the first half against San Diego State in what was a mucked-up game. And then the next key I gave was Utah knows that their chance to win this game is shoot the ball well from deep because you've got to be able to outscore the easy baskets that Arizona scores. Arizona scores a host of easy baskets. They score from very short proximity very frequently, and they get more shot attempts. So the way to beat them is play the analytics and make a bunch of threes. The key to me was stifling Utah's best three-point shooters and keeping Utah as a team under 33% from deep. So in specific, I wanted to see a combination of McHenry, who is the best shooter on the team, Brown, the best player, and an interesting wing who does shoot the three decently, and Seydou Traore combined for under 5 threes between the trio. Well, Arizona held Utah to under 33% from 3, shooting 5 of 17, and that trio actually combined for all 5 of those threes. So check on those 2 keys. The next key I had was I want to see Arizona dominate the glass and impose their will on the boards like they often do, but I wanted to see them do that against Big 12 competition because Big 12 competition, well, you can say what you like about Utah. I think Utah is the worst team in the Big 12, but Utah has bodies that very few teams that Arizona has played, other than the big boys they played, have. And I wanted to see if they can enforce their will and impose their will on this game, and by doing so on the glass. See if they can do that in a road game against a team that this is the Super Bowl. Number 1 coming to your building, and a home crowd's going to show up, and it's the Big 12 opener. They have film on you. You're a known commodity. I wanted to see Arizona win by 15 to 20 on the glass and score 18 or more on the offensive glass. As for what Arizona did, in the total glass, they won by 13. They had 14 offensive rebounds. So they were +4 in offensive glass and +13 in the total glass. To me, that's fine. I wasn't terribly thrilled with that from Arizona, but it was, that's adequate. Doesn't pass the test I was giving, but those were big time numbers. As for the second chance points, Arizona did very well in the first half on second chance points. They finished with 15, so they were able to get a respectable number, but I would like that to be higher. I do think they took their foot off the gas pedal, though, in the second half. Now, the last keys that I had went hand in hand with attacking the paint and controlling the glass. I wanted to see an energy and an early focus on inside scoring from Burries and Peat and get them the rock and score inside no matter what defense is being played, because Big 12 teams who scout scrupulously will try to deter you from scoring with your bread and butter, which is scoring on the inside. Arizona scores on the inside. They score 57% of their points from 2, and they score a vast majority of those 2-pointers from the paint. So I wanted to see a number like 65 points in the paint plus free throws made. I call it paint-oriented points for those who are with me all the time. So Arizona, in terms of points in the paint, had 52 points in the paint, and they had 16 free throws made. So that's 68. So they achieved that goal, and they scored 68 points, and Utah ended up scoring 78 points. And so just the points in the paint plus free throws, Arizona only lost this game by 10. Then you add that they can knock down threes and they can knock down long twos, and this game's not particularly close. That's why Arizona's so good. They get a high percentage of their offense from very makeable shots from in tight. And then when they miss, they get 41% of their offensive rebounds. This is an excellent basketball team, and it's because they are so sustainably and repeatedly able to get good shots. And when they do miss those good shots, they get the rebound. So they achieved that goal very easily. And let's go through some statistics that stand out, right? Arizona went 37 to 69 from the field, and they went 7 to 18 from three. So they went 30 of 51 from two. That's over 60, or just about 60% from two. And then you look in the paint, they did even better there. And Arizona, it's just not one person doing it. I mean, I mentioned this as top. Bradley, 18 points, 7-11 from the field, only 1 of 2 from three. Burries, 17 points, 6 of 12 from the field. He went 1 of 4 from three, hit 1 3 from the left wing early. But Utah Pete and Ivan Karchenkov have already established their presence on the interior, scoring easy baskets early. Karchenkov had 13. He went 1 of 4 from three. So most of those points are from within the paint, especially the transition ones. Utah Pete, 17 points. He hit 1 3. So he was 8 of 13 from scoring just around the paint. Krivos near the paint, and all those guys did well. And you look at that. They didn't shoot particularly well. 7-18 is fine, but they're still able to sustainably score so many points and so frequently. And Arizona is the type of team that can continually score 70 points per game pretty routinely off of free throws and points in the paint. And that's going to get you more points than your opponent sometimes. And if it's not, it's going to be very close. And all you have to do is hit a couple threes. And the other part of this is some of those baskets are so easy because of their defense feeds into their offense. Their defense feeds into their offense because they had 15 fast break points and 18 points off of turnovers. And like I said, I felt like that could have been 30 points off of turnovers. I felt like that could have easily been double as many points off of turnovers had they kept their pedal to the metal defensively. I felt like there was a lack of focus at the second half after building that 24-point lead. It was 58 to 39 at half, and they built it up to, I want to say, 70 to 46. And from that point, Arizona did not play very well. Tommy Lloyd spoke of when answering a question, a very good question, asking about how do you tell your team when you've won 8 games by 20 or more, and this one you win by 19, to stay engaged and play defensively. And he says you try to tell them to play it like it's 0-0. And that's a cliche answer, but it's true. And you can see the urgency. He says some people are probably sick of it, but it's human nature to let up a little bit. And I think he, in answering that question, had a little bit of frustration that there was a let up, that there hadn't been in some of the other games recently. And he credited Utah. He'd said the right things, but you could see there's a little bit of a frustration to the idea that Utah was able to score so many easy shots. Utah was able to score a lot of point paints of their own. Like points in the paint, Utah scored 42. That's way more than Arizona typically concedes. Way more. Yeah, they still won the points in the paint by a decent margin, but they don't usually give up that many. And Utah's not a prolific scoring team. Utah's not a prolific offensive team. They're around 100th offensively. So I think there is some frustration. Generally, Utah played well. Like, I think Utah played a good game, and I think Arizona played an average game, and Arizona's still 19 points better on the road. And a game that was not their Super Bowl. But you look at what Arizona does, and once again, their recipe is sustainable. It's so sustainable that even in a C game, they can score 97 points and shoot 54%. What felt like a little bit of a lethargic defensive side. And the question is, can you play intense basketball without lapses? And the answer to that question to me is, I think the better competition they play, the fewer lapses there will be, because there will be more intensity and necessity for perfect execution offensively to make those things happen. Whereas Arizona felt like they could get whatever they wanted offensively today all day, and they did. And then defensively, it didn't matter because they could get so much. I think as the competition rises, Arizona's focus level also increases, and it kind of cancels out. But yes, as you're saying in here, Howard Klein, I agree with you, and I appreciate your comments from yesterday's postcast and today's. I agree. The question is, can you consistently play that long? And Tommy Lloyd mentioned human nature makes it difficult to do so. Coming up next, I'll break down my final thoughts on this game from the Huntsman Center, where Arizona wins by 19 in the Big 12 opener and advances to 14-0 on the season, as well as preview what's next on the Wildcats schedule. All that and more on Locked On Wildcats postcast. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, with player props that update as guys heat up as well. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Welcome back to Postcast. Leif Thulin with you here on Locked On Wildcats. Arizona did a lot of things well today. Don't get me wrong. They won the glass. They had a lot of second chance points. They had a lot of fast break points. They were able to score 97 points in a conference game. And they forced turnovers at a high level. They did not concede many turnovers. But the question really, like Howard said, is can you play without complacency? Can you play with no palpable and tangible lulls? And the answer today wasn't that. Like my initial takeaway of today, for those of you who are here at the top, was Arizona played this game at a C level after the first 5 minutes and never were threatened. Arizona was really good for the first 5 minutes. And I'll go to the play-by-play and find what the score was through 5 minutes for you guys here. Like, I think if you were to look at what Arizona can do for 5 minutes and they just put those stretches on, the start of each half was the answer. Arizona was up 12-2 at the 16:30 mark. Arizona led 20-8 at the 14-minute mark, and it got up to 24-8 at the 12:38. So the first 8 minutes of this game, Arizona was up 16 points. The rest of the game was basically neutral, and that speaks to the level of effort. Credit to the Utes. They played well to cut this lead down. But Arizona was up 24-8 in 7.5 minutes. And it's a road game. You have to stay focused. But it speaks to the level that Arizona can achieve. And I think when you compare the best teams in the country, the difference that some people speak of in terms of Michigan is they've been able to just continually grow the gap as the game goes along. And Arizona in this game did not do so. They played even with the Utes. And the Utes are the worst team in the Big 12, probably. They may not be the worst, but if they're not the worst, they're one of the 2 or 3 worst. And Arizona has every belief that they can be the best team in the country. They have every belief that they can be the best team in the Big 12, but need to play with fewer lulls and continue with the recipe because their recipe is flawless. Like Tommy Lloyd, he spoke in modesty, saying, I'm not a genius. I'm no maestro. But really, he is. Every year that he has been the head coach of Arizona basketball, they have been top 10 offensively. Every year, top 10 offensively. You know why? Because they shoot a lot of twos. They shoot a higher proportion of twos and easy twos than just about anyone in the country. And in addition to that, they are very good defensively. In addition to that, they get 41% of their misses. So Arizona's going to shoot a higher percentage of you. And when they do miss, they're going to get the rebound and get more chances. So they had 15 second chance points. I think maybe it was 18. It was 15 or 18. But anyway, somewhere in between there in terms of second chance points. And they add that to their first shot efficiency that's already going to be north of 50% in a lot of games because they shoot from point blank range. Tommy Lloyd is a genius in the sense of he's going to play quickly. He's going to play physically, going to out-rebound you by a drastic margin, and going to overpower you and get easy shots by finding good post entries, high lows, and if you do overcommit, finding capable shooters. Arizona, much has been made of, they can't shoot the basketball. Arizona shoots the basketball well. Like, Arizona really shoots the basketball well. If you look at the statistics, and I'm pulling up their thing, they're 9th offensively and 2nd defensively on KenPom right now, and at number 2 overall in KenPom. Arizona shoots 358th most three-pointers per field goal attempts because they play fast. Their actual total of three-pointers attempted is higher than that, but in terms of the percentage of three-pointers taken per possession, they're 7th from last in the country. But they shoot 38% from 3. That is 30th in the country. So they are a good three-point shooting team that does not need any reliance on three-point shooting. A lot of people say, they can't shoot, therefore they're going to lose. Those are bad for teams that rely on three-point shooting. UConn and Florida, the 2 teams that Arizona beat in the closest games, Arizona didn't hit threes. They hit 2 threes against Florida and took 5 and scored 93 against the defending champs with one of the best rebounding front courts where they had to be a good on first shot offense. Tommy Lloyd is going to have you being great on offense, and top 10 is great. but they're even better on defense, and that's what stuck out to me. The defense looked mediocre. It looked disinterested for much of the game after building the lead. And that is what I'm sure the point will be heading to the next games. Coming up next, Kansas State in Tucson. Arizona's projected to win by 22. Kansas State hosted BYU today. They lost by 10. I expect Arizona to cruise in that one. We'll have previews for you of that one. That's on Wednesday. We'll also have recaps of what happened in the Holiday Bowl and the news of Noah Fafita coming back to Arizona saying we've got unfinished business. So all that is coming up on the week. And Arizona basketball, 14-0, number one in the country, still looking good. A C game, a B plus game, or sorry, a B minus game, C game, and Arizona still wins by 19 on the road in conference play. This is a really good basketball team. You're lucky to see it. I'm lucky to cover it. Thank you guys for tuning in on Locked On Wildcats postcast. I'll be with you guys with a show Monday recapping the Holiday Bowl and what it means that Noah Fafita is coming back. All that and more this week on Locked On Wildcats. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bear down.